So, hello everyone. Welcome to Monday night's edition of the War Zone. It's a brand new week for a whole lot of new stuff and old stuff to talk about. As you can see here, we have a special guest, Mr. Elvante Patton. He is sitting in for Donovan. Obviously, we are here a little bit later than normal. And Donovan, as usual, has to go to flight school on Monday and Wednesday, so that's where he is. And so Gary is getting all of the dynamics on his end worked out. And so we are going to be talking about the case of Jonathan Price, another black man that was shot in cold blood by a police officer right there in not Dallas, but well, close to Dallas, but Texas. So we are going to get into that. And so, Elvante, what's going on with you?
Oh, nothing much. Just trying to stay dry and stay low. That's it.
Oh. Yeah, that's the best way to try to be. But
Yeah.
out here, we're trying to stay cool because it's like we still like in triple digits, and so that's what we're trying to do. So, Gary, what's going on with you?
Man, up at the radio station, I had to start the new show, the morning show on the 20th. So I had to come train tonight with Homestead Slim so I can learn how to work the equipment so I can blow it out the water. So, you want to tune in to me on Street 100 The Heat, the Warzone morning show with comedian Rodney Bingham starting on October 20th. It's going to be crazy, man. That's all I can say.
All right, and so before we get into our topic at hand, let's cover something in the news. As you guys know, President Donald Trump has been, from what they tell us, he's been battling the COVID. He caught the COVID sometime a couple of weeks ago when they were announcing that Amy Barrett, I think that's her name, was going to, they're going to try to confirm her as the next Supreme Court justice. And so there's a whole host of people actually that was in that Rose Garden that contracted COVID-19. So far, it's over 30 people that has the COVID. In fact, there's a pastor, big time pastor out here by the name of Greg Lowry. He was also in the Rose Garden. I don't know what he was doing there, but he ended up catching the COVID as well. And so there's a lot going on with that. There's a lot of people are saying, oh, it's a conspiracy. Trump is lying. He doesn't really have it. He wants everybody to, be fooled into taking the vaccine and blah, blah, blah. But for what we know now, they say he has it. He is now back at the White House. He was at the Walter Reed Hospital. Now he's back at the White House doing what I don't know. But as we know, it's 29 days to the election. So we'll stay tuned for that. And so let's go ahead and get right into it. Gary, go ahead.
Man, Trump got that kung flu. Ain't that what he said it was? But I tell you what, Thursday night when Walter come on, we need to find out what vaccine he used so we can buy them stock options so we can be rich. Because if it can get you well in 4 days, we need to make some money off of it. Right. So, yeah, I saw, I don't really know all the details, but another police shooting in Wolfe City, Texas. Another black man, from what they saying, man, he was a pillar of the community. So this is not a guy that was caught up in any drama, nothing like that. And this man is dead, but until we stop singing and start swinging, it's gonna keep being the same thing. And I'm just being honest. I mean, the more peaceful we are, it looks like the faster we die. So I just don't get it with what we need to do. All this talking ain't working, man. I mean, these politicians ain't going up into these state houses, into Washington. They're not dealing with qualified immunity. And these some of these cops just keep doing the same thing. You feel what I'm saying?
And so before I pass it to Alvante, I just want to give a little bit more detail. So the man that was murdered by the police there in Wolfe, Texas, never heard of Wolfe, Texas, but I guess it's about 70 miles outside of Dallas. He was actually helping to break up a domestic violence issue at a gas station there. He was trying to intervene, break up the fight. And I guess the police was called. Once the police arrived, somehow the police officer discharged his taser. And then when Mr. Price fell over, he started to, go into convulsions. And from what they're saying, the police officer, I guess, thought he was maybe going to do something as he was going into convulsions, and then he fired upon him with his gun, killing him. But as Gary said, many people have come out and said that he was a pillar of the community, motivational speaker, and I believe he worked for the Department of Public Water Works or something like that out there. And one of his friends, who's a famous baseball player, his name escapes my mind, but he said, great things about him. So, yeah, and sounds like this was, a good one. And, even if he wasn't all of that, it still doesn't deserve, no one deserves to die. But the police officer is on administrative leave, of course. They are doing some investigating, right? So, Alvante, what are your thoughts on that?
As a Black man in America, it becomes a point where you're just scared to walk outside, just because you just never know what's going to happen. And when I was younger, I used to always say I never joined the military because I don't want to die for a country that's not willing to die for me. And a lot of people didn't understand that when I turned 18, but the longer I lived, the more I realized I was speaking some profound words at a young age. But Gary Monroe brought up a very key point about our elected officials. It's so interesting to me how progressive they are on the campaign trail, but when they get into the state house and the US House, they're no longer progressive anymore, because this isn't an issue that just happened in 2020. This issue has been happening for years and years, and you'll find a little bill here, a bill there, but no one's taking that charge and say, this is something that we have to stop. And we're people of color, and we need to stop it. Regardless of what trade-offs we need to get to stop this violence, we need to stop it. But I don't believe it's actually going to truly hit home until one of our elected officials are in the shoes of some of these young individuals that's losing their lives behind or in front of the gun of a police officer.
I totally agree with you, man. I know Donovan would say it, so I'm gonna say it for him. Not a word from the Congressional Black Caucus.
And I think,
Not a
honestly,
word.
it comes down to the fact of they want their seats for the next year. This is an unpopular but popular subject that we're discussing, because they know that they can't go to the state house where there's a majority of Caucasians and think that they're going to bring up a Black issue. But I feel like if not now, then when? Because now more than ever, you have Amazon putting out commercials about Black Lives Matter. You have all these individuals talking about Black Lives Matter. So why not put in laws right now when you have the opportunity? When you can bring that forth right now without them giving you backlash, why not bring it forth? That's the question I have for them. Why are we not hearing more about this as we are COVID? We hear so much about COVID and what it's doing to the Black community, how we need health care. But are you going to need health care if we're constantly on the pavement dead? You're not going to need health care then. You're dead at that point. So we're going to have to be able to understand it. We're going to have to start electing some individuals that's not scared about the next election to come for the next 10 years. That they're not trying to get invested so their kids can go to college for free. They're not invested so they can get a retirement check that's bigger than you and our check if we work a 9 to 5. See, that's the things that people don't realize. When you're electing these people, you're electing them to a high power salary that you can't even get at this moment in time. They got better health care than you. Look at Trump, goes in 4 days and he's healed. That's letting you know the power of our elected officials, that they're really not telling you how much power they truly have and how protected they are.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, man. That a lot of people they have to truly understand that sooner or later it's just gonna go haywire. And all that talking people doing, like somebody on here troll, call the NFAC. We don't need to call no NFAC. We got enough thugs in the hood. Don't get it twisted, partner. And see, that's what I'm talking about. When you think about what these people could actually go in there and do, like you said, Elvante, some people are not gonna say anything because they're trying to win their seats. A lot of them ain't gonna say nothing because they take money from the NRA. They ain't gonna say nothing.
And the interesting thing is, I'm a Democrat, and let's speak truth, because no, I don't want a Democrat to lose. But if we're going to be honest, let's be honest. When I sit here and I look at, some of you guys know I ran, some of you guys may not know, but my opponent take money from private prisons. How can you say you're for the black community, but you're taking money from private prisons? That doesn't add up to me. It doesn't make sense to me that you would take a police endorsement, a police union's endorsement, but say that you care about black people's lives. Like, some things that we do, I feel like we say it for the public, but then when you go and do your research, you start realizing, like, you're not really what you say you are. Behind closed doors, you become just like them, because you happen to have different skin color as them, so you can speak up out loud, but you can't go behind closed doors and do the same. So that's some of the things I feel like you have to begin to pay attention to as a voter, because honestly, I'm looking at some of the laws that's being passed for black people. It wasn't Democrats that did it, unfortunately. And it wasn't our skin color people that actually moved the needle forward. So we have to begin to pay attention to some of those minor things that they're telling us to go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote D, go vote D, go vote D. But I think you need to pay attention to who is in your neighborhood taking care of you, period.
I would say this, no, I wholeheartedly agree with you. But a lot of politicians, well, I would say probably all of them, are not scared, because we as black people don't make them scared. Like, what are we gonna do? We have no economic power or any of that kind of stuff to make them want to do anything. And I apologize if I'm kind of freezing up a little bit, and we have some internet problems. So if I go out, I'll come back in. But we haven't made them afraid. Like, what do we have as black people? We don't unify. We don't practice group economics. All we do, especially now during the election season, is, say, oh, we got to vote because our ancestors died for the right to vote. But what are you voting to get? Are you just doing it because they died? Or are you going to go do it and actually get something for it? And I think it's fair to say that neither party, the Republicans or the Democrats, have done anything to stop the wholesale murder of black people here in America. They know what's going on. I mean, it happens every day, if not 2 or 3 times a day. But what are we actually doing about it? And when I say we, I'm talking about black people. What are we doing? Like I said, I refuse to protest. I refuse to march. I refuse to do any of that because it's not getting us anywhere. You guys know that I'm holding my vote because I don't see us getting anything for it but empty promises, as we always get. And so, you think about it, both Trump and Biden are very pro-police. They're actually talking about adding more money to police budgets. Well, we know police overall do not help us as black people. So why are we breaking our necks to go in there and try to, give them a vote for what? They're not even really, they got these little platinum plans and the lift every voice plans, but what is it really? And you know what else? Neither one of those plans are talking about writing black people a check. They're talking about spending the money for black people. But regardless of what plan goes into the White House, the lift every voice or the platinum plan, black people are still going to be murdered wholesale until we as black people actually do something.
Well, one thing I can say is, and I have to congratulate you guys on this platform, is where you guys are bringing, I can't remember his name, but you're bringing a gentleman in teaching individuals about investing. One thing that the black community has to understand is your power is in your dollar, period. And a lot of people, I would say like 6 months ago, I was on here telling everybody, hey, look, man, this is the time to invest. You need to figure out what you need to invest in and go invest in it, because that's more powerful than your vote. Because once they realize that you can hold back the money and that you own some things, it's a lot of things that they'll listen to. And right now, black people just don't own enough for them to listen to. So now when it comes down to it, I understand where you say you're holding your vote because they're not giving us anything. But at the same time, I feel like you're right. You're 100% right. But also we have to understand, we have to begin to start putting people on the ballot that will move the needle, that will fight. Yeah, they might only last that one session, but that one session might be the change of our lifetime. See, we keep on waiting for the future, what's going to happen in the future, but sometimes that future is now. Like, we need somebody that's going to go in there. They might get their heads rolled over because they spoke too much, but you need that. You need that person that's going to be true to the community to say, you know what? I'm going to go in here. I'm not going to get rich. I'm not going to become a millionaire. I went in here broke. I'm going to leave broke. So let me go ahead and hammer every issue that I can. Because you have to realize some people get on this ballot. The only thing they think about is themselves and how they're going to get rich and how they're going to work these deals. And if it costs your life for that deal and for them to get rich, they care less about you and more about themselves. But that goes back to our poll workers having to begin to say, you know what? I'm not going to work for you because I don't believe in you. Your dollar isn't worth the lives of my people, because I done seen a lot of people work for people, but they don't believe in their values. And it's like, how can you work for somebody you don't believe in their values? So that's first. We have to quit chasing the dollar, because I done found too many people as I travel around the polls. Why are you supporting this person? Because they paid me. Not because they believe in them, but they paid them. And it's just that simple. And until Black people realize that the dollar is only fiat, see, we don't know the difference between money and cash. Like, we don't know the difference. Like, we don't know that difference. Until we learn that difference, we're going to be in trouble. So I just feel like we have to start at ground level, because we shoot ourselves in the foot. I can't send you to the state house and say, hey, go do this and get us together. But then we have Joe Blow over here going to work for the enemy. So we're going to have to realize we're going to have to get it together as a whole.
You know, I would ask people, man, if Trump has done something wrong, you'll say don't vote for him. If Mitch McConnell's done something wrong, you'll say don't vote for him. Jim Paxson, Attorney General of Texas, they want to send him to jail. Don't vote for him. But the Black ones can do everything under the sun, and you'll still say go vote for them. Won't do anything for our communities. Won't help us, won't step up to the plate for the one issue that's affecting Black America, which is these police shootings, but you will continuously say, we got to vote for them. So here's my thing, and I think y'all can expound on that, Demetra and Elvante. Stop complaining about your goddamn condition, because you keep putting yourself in that water. You keep putting yourself in that water. I see Janelle made a comment. She said, how could you vote for Sheila Jackson Lee when she sold out the North Forest community? Now, those that's out there, what part of that she lying about? But you will faithfully run to them polls and make sure that lady win 85 to 15% on an average. You know these people cheating and doing what they do. Like today, I get the call. They at the old folks' home with the early ballots. But the only thing you don't say is go vote for them. We can't keep complaining about our situation when you keep putting these dirty is in office, man.
Okay, so my thing is, I know we're talking about police shootings, but I feel like that stems from a lot of different issues. It's not just police shooting. Like I said, it didn't just happen today. This has been happening. But when I sit here and I think about a politician being in office, I'm going to be honest. There's a state rep that's 82 years old. Not trying to be funny, but she done lived through the civil rights. She's going to live through the internet boom. She done lived through a lot. She done saw a lot. My thing is, can she really see the future of the young people and what they're dealing with? Virtual learning, she has no clue. She's probably barely gets on a computer. Like, are you telling me that we're constantly electing individuals that can't move us forward? They're stuck and leaving us backwards. I think that's where we are. We're constantly electing individuals that's keeping us stuck in the past. So we're constantly stuck in this past, but we're too scared to move forward and getting visionaries. Because my thing is, it's one thing to be progressive, but it's another to be a visionary. And when you have vision and you can move a community forward, that's what we need. We don't need a progressive that's talking about healthcare, but can't tell you how we're going to move forward with healthcare. We're stuck. We're constantly electing people that have us stuck in the mud, and we can't get out of the mud because they're constantly telling you about how we can move forward being stuck. You can't. We're going to have to begin to elect some people that's going to be visionaries and move us forward and can see that, hey, this pandemic was coming, virtual learning was coming. It's an issue right now that in the United States that we're underbanked. How can you live in the United States and don't have a bank account? See, that's the things that they don't really want you to know. We're underbanked. So if we're underbanked right now, if something truly happened, a lot of us are going to go under the water because you don't have a bank account. But we need to begin to see those issues and begin to move forward and actually put legislation out there for the future and not continuously try to fix the past. Because we're still trying to fix slavery. Because my thing was when we got the reparations talk, reparations, we're still living in the past. What about the future? Because I don't think America have enough room to give all these black people their 40 acres and a mule. Just call a spade, and most of us don't know what to do with the cash if they gave it to us. We give it right back to them and don't even realize we gave it back to them.
Demetri, I'm gonna be honest with you. They need to get rid of some of these old Negro spirituals that's in office, because a bunch of them was in slavery. They done been in office so long, they was watching Kunta try to run for freedom. So I'm just telling you the real. Some of them been in office too long. Some of these people been in office so long, they wearing adult Pampers right now. And they need to go, Demetri.
Since Kunta, huh? Well, so I want to say this. So yes, a lot of those people that are still in office 20, 30, 40 years. Hell, we got Joe Biden is going to be the oldest man to ever run for the presidency of the United States at the age of 77, has been in office almost 50 years and has not moved the needle for black people forward. He's actually moved it backwards. And so here we are, especially as black people arguing over who is going to be the better master to serve. And neither one of them is going to be good for us, right? And so, yeah, these older people, they need to give up the ghost. They need to let it go. But they're not going to let it go because there's a couple of things. One, it's a money grab. And let's see, who was it? It was, oh gosh, I don't see him now. Oh, Jamarcus. He says they're just lining their pockets. Yes, it's a money grab. And they're going to stand there as long as we let them to continue to line their pockets. And the other part of that is they prey off of the ignorant. There's a lot of people, and I say this, and I know people get mad, but I don't think everybody should have the right to vote. If you are ignorant and you do not know what you're going in that voting booth to do, you should not be able to vote, because what happens is you mess up the rotation for the rest of us going in there, marking the name, I know Sheila Jackson Lee. I know her. Okay, you know her name, but what has she done for you and your community? If you can't name 2 or 3 things that Sheila Jackson Lee has done to help black people move the ball forward in those communities, you should not be marking her name. Another thing, as far as reparations, we always say, well, not we, it's a lot of us, a lot of black people will say, well, there's not enough money to give black people reparations. Well, we know that's a lie, because we saw them peel off 13, 14, 15, 17 trillion dollars since March, with all these stimulus packages. So they owe us as black people at least that. So we know that it can be done. And I always say, and Donovan too, regardless of what we do with the money, it's our money. And so, yes, slavery is in the past and we can't do anything about that. But imagine if we had at least $17 trillion right now, how brighter our future would be. But we also know that it's going to take us 232 years to catch up to the wealth of white people. They have about $171,000 of wealth compared to ours, and it's probably a lot less than that, 17,000. And so we will never catch up to their wealth unless you get rid of systemic and institutional racism, and we have that big giant infusion of cash. And so reparation is ours, and we need it. And if we all would get on the same page, see, that's what we need to be asking for in return for our vote. We see you guys give all these big giant corporations bailouts and stimulus and all of that, but what about the American people, and specifically black people? Because black people in America are doing the worst as far as anybody else is concerned. And so we need our money. Write us our check and let us decide how we spend it. If I want to roll it up on the toilet paper roll, and use it for that purpose is mine to do.
And I can respect that. My thing, like, I can respect it 110%. So let me not sit here and say I don't want what's owed to me. Let me not say that. But what I am going to say is that we have to understand that our people need to be educated before they get it. And my thing is, I hate the word diversity because I feel like black people use the word diversity wrong, and white people screw us over every single time that we use the word because we don't really understand the definition of the word and what we really want. And see, they play word games with us and we lose every time because we're not understanding truly the words that we're speaking with the definition to understand what we want. So an example of that, we're quick to say diversity. We need diversity. What does diversity mean? Diversity does not mean color of your skin. That does not mean diversity. That means it could be a black person lives in a wealthy white neighborhood, a black person live in the poor neighborhood. That's diversity. Most people don't understand that when they go to the table. So when I think we speak of reparations, I think a lot of people go to the table and not truly understand what the definition of reparations truly mean. And until they begin to educate themselves, that's when things can actually change, because now we can play with the words just like them and understand when I sat down at this table with you, I can use a different word than reparations and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. So I think right now we're getting played against ourselves because of the word choices we're choosing to use to try to gain footage.
This is the way I feel. Sorry, Gary, but white supremacy know what we mean. White supremacy knows what reparations are. That's just a game that they play with us. Oh, well, let's study it. Nah, hell nah. Y'all didn't study it when y'all was bringing our asses over here, during the Middle Passage. So that's what they do to us. Well, we need to. No, we don't need. I don't need to be educated about it. How about you just? Because one thing black people know how to do is spend our money. Do we handle it right all the time? No, not always. But give it to us and let us decide what we're going to do with our money. And the word diversity is also a trick of white supremacy, because when you say diverse or people of color or minorities, you're actually lumping black people in with everybody else. Take a perfect example, affirmative action. That was supposed to benefit black people. Who was the biggest benefactor of affirmative action? It was white women. And so that's what that word diverse means. And it's also, to me, a word that cowards use in politics. A lot of politicians are cowards, especially our people, because they just won't say this bill is for black people. They'll say, well, it's diverse, it's the people of color or minorities, instead of saying black people need these resources more than anybody else needs them, and we want to make sure they get it first. They use the word diverse in order to throw this big smoke screen. And for us that are not on, now see, this is what a word that we should educate ourselves on. Those of us who are not educated on that word, we think that includes us too, but it actually excludes us, and we get barely what's left over.
I'm going to say what everybody want to say, because I'm 5-star and I can do that. I don't give a damn if they smoke all their money up in weed. Give them their money. I don't give a damn if they spend it all at the turkey leg hut. Give them their money. Man, run me my money, U.S. government. I know my peoples were slaves. Man, break my chippers off, man. That's all it boiled down to. But I'm going to tell you, some of us are smarter than a lot of people give us credit for. Some of us know what to do with our money. But the thing is, I got to be careful now because I'm trying to be nice. These Negro politicians, they ain't fighting hard enough. Them white Democrats, they don't want to expose themselves because they don't want us to have it. But the bottom line is, man, you owe us that money, man. Don't make us pull a kick, though, or we coming up in Washington where the brink trucks where you're hiding them at, and we want that money, man. So go on and start printing up some more money. If you need some more paper, you already done taught us about George Washington. Go chop down a bunch of cherry trees and get that wood and go make that paper and bring us our money, man.
Avante?
I'm not going, like I said, I'm not against getting the money, not against it at all. I just feel like it's not even about having a plan. I just feel like we just have to get on one accord and truly understand what is it that we want. And I'm not saying that we need a black agenda, that because I feel like a black agenda has already been placed in front of us and we choose not to use it. So I'm not going to say a black agenda. I just want to say that we need to be on one accord. So when they ask one black person what is it that we want, we all should say the same dang thing. Simple as that. It shouldn't be 50 different answers. Oh, black people shouldn't get this and they shouldn't get that. We all should be on one accord. And I feel like as a community, that's one thing that we're not. We're not on the same accord, period. I feel like with anything. But when I get to a Caucasian, they can hate Trump, but they ain't going to let you know they hate Trump. They go, oh, Trump is great. You'll never know because they all on the same page when it comes down to it. And that's just what it is. We're going to have to get on the same accord, period, no matter what.
And I want to answer this. Oh, go ahead. Hawkins, how you doing? I think that's how you say Hawkins. You say, if that's the case, why hasn't Black wealth been built? School system sucks and doesn't teach our children to be accountable and responsible. Well, if we're talking about our children specifically, why would we expect them? And I hope I'm not misreading your comment, but why would we expect the school system to teach our children about being responsible and even who they are? Like I said, Donald Trump has said if any school is caught teaching the 1619 Project, which talks about slavery and, you know, the whole entity of slavery, almost 500 years of it, he was going to defund the schools. I don't even know if that's something he can do, but he was taking funding away from them. And now he has this 1776 plan where wants to teach everybody about America. But my thing is this: if we as Black people are sending our kids to school, especially these white schools, expecting them to learn about their Black selves, that's our fault. We should be teaching our children what they need to know. And they go to these white school systems, they need to, because I always taught my daughter to be able to debunk what the white school system would tell her. Because we know, what do they tell the kids? Oh, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Yeah, he sort of kind of did that, but they don't really tell them the truth. They don't tell them that Abraham Lincoln could have gave a damn if Black people were in slavery or not. He didn't, whatever kept the Union together, that's what he wanted to do. But they had your Black children, you know, coloring Abraham Lincoln as he was this great Black, you know, savior, and we know that he wasn't. And so we need to start teaching our children about who they are and how to be responsible and about, you know, finances and all that other stuff. And if they go to, you know, white schools, it's either an addition or they can subtract from it and say, that's not what my mama or my daddy taught me.
I guess I can chime in to that. And when I think about education as an educator, I just feel like we as African Americans are failing our own students, period. Because number one, the people that make the laws understand that if I defund the school that's in the hood, the great African American teachers aren't going to go teach there because they don't have the money to pay that teacher what that teacher feel like they're worth. So that teacher goes to the suburbs and get paid $10,000 to $15,000 more to teach some white kids. It's just the game that they choose to play. But once again, elections matter because our elected officials should be in there fighting for our kids to get the funds that they deserve, period. And when I think about property tax, you know, we fight against property tax as African Americans, but do we realize that the property tax that's higher in River Oaks in the rich white people area, it gives them more money for their schools. We sit here and we fight against property tax in the hood and our schools look like trash. So there's a correlation there that we have to begin to realize. Why are we fighting against property tax in our neighborhood and 90% of you guys don't own homes? I say raise the property tax in the hood because they're gerrymandering it, raise it in the hood so you can actually get some good money for your kids' education. You're going to live there anyway. Let's really call a spade a spade. So that's what I think about when it comes down to education. Like, we're losing the fight because they bring in these messages that we really don't know about, and we go fight, no, lower property tax. And it's like, you're a renter. Why are you yelling lower property tax and you're a renter? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, why are you even in that fight at all? But that's what they put in our heads, and we don't know any better. So, well, we should know better, because if you knew better, you'd do better. But we'll go out there and vote against raising property tax, and our kids are losing.
It's all a game. The question is who playing us? It's all a game. Who playing who?
I
See,
feel
we
like
around here we playing checkers, they playing chess. They playing checkers, man. We playing checkers, they playing chess. Say, man, when you figure the game out, you're going to clearly understand. Education, black schools in the hood is not what they want. And if they have a black school in the hood, they want it to be a charter school. Now the question is what I don't understand, Demetra and Elvante, you know, you've been at the charter schools. How you take the same Negro kid that couldn't learn at the public school, put him in the charter school, and he blow it out the water? You know why? Because the charter school has things that the public school don't have. But yet they all operated off of our tax money. You see what I'm saying? It's all operated off the same tax money. But you will not put things in those black schools that can help those kids excel. So it's all a game. You feel what I'm saying? Now, as far as the property taxes, there's more than enough property taxes in the black community, which people don't realize, that can still fund our schools. Whereas in the state of Texas, let me ask you this here, because Elvante, you from Texas, where all that goddamn gambling money was supposed to go to education, man?
See, that's where I want people to understand when I say elections matter, because elected officials sit there and they tell you where your education property tax money goes to, because we all don't pay the same amount of property taxes in Texas. It just is what it is, and that's what we have to pay attention to. And like I said, if you're not a homeowner, property tax doesn't affect you because you don't own the home. So my thing is, why are we saying, hey, give us a bond for $50 million for our schools? And I'm thinking, why would you take the bond of a loan, but you're not willing to raise property taxes? Something just doesn't add up. It's because they told you that these bonds are great and you can do so much with these bonds, and this is going to be over 50 years, and don't realize that when you took this bond, you took a loan off on your kid's future, because that's going to be the person that ends up paying it back. But property tax, you can get all that money up front and you don't have to take out the loan. But that's just my perspective on the difference between having the knowledge of what's going on versus I'm just listening to someone tell me what I need to be going for.
Well, the biggest mistake we ever made as black people was trusting the oppressors to educate our kids. No matter how y'all may feel, you good white folk out there, I get it with you. But we should have never trusted the oppressor to educate our children. That wasn't going to happen. It was not going to happen. And from day one, we made a lot of mistakes that we can't even go back and fix. So, and here's my thing. I get what you're saying, Elvante. Demetra, I be listening to y'all with the money and Walter. But these motherfuckers seem to have money at the most crucial times. They keep acting like we got a deficit, we broke, and then all of a sudden they pull up with the truck with all the money in it.
No.
Spend money on what they want to spend money on, but when it come to Black America, they ain't gonna spend a dime.
Let's go back real quick. So the government has the power to create money. Let's not say that it's already out there and they went and grabbed it. No, they just created more money. So all they're doing is saying, hey, we need $1 trillion more. We're just going to create it. That's all that is. So my thing is, in the midst of you creating, what's going to end up happening, if, say, for instance, they was give it to the black community, they're going to kill us with inflation. Because now all of a sudden it went to me, a great cause, but they just inflated the dollar. They're not doing that now because of the simple fact they'll be hurting themselves if they inflated the dollar. So no, they didn't pull the brink truck up just magically and have money sitting aside. No, money is created, and that's what they're doing. They're creating this money.
Well, I sure would like to have them create us some money. We don't care where it comes from. Create us about 17 trillion right off the rip, and then we can work from that point. But James Williams, how you doing? He says, did you hear Trump say that, or did you hear that from the media? And I'm assuming you're talking about the 1619 project. He said it himself that the 1619 project was toxic and it was anti-American, and that's when he came up with his, 1776 plan where he was going to teach, wanted the kids to learn about America. So yes, he did say that, but I'm going to assume that you are a Trump fan, and I want to ask you Trump supporters this: how is it that y'all support Trump and y'all don't have a good goddamn clue about anything that he says? Right off the top, you talking about, oh, well, it's fake news. I mean, if that's your president, I would imagine you would at least halfway listen to him. And then if you don't listen to him and you just rock around with a red hat just because everybody else is doing it, at least use Google. Like Google and see if he said it and proves me to be a liar. But yeah, and in regards to education, it's our mistake that we allow our oppressors to educate our children. But we got to remember, that wasn't our choice in the beginning. They brought us over here and miseducated us, taught us things that were completely against who we are. Even to this day, we are operating out of sync and out of balance with who we are innately due to the miseducation that they gave us. They stripped us of our names, our religions, our everything. Like, we started from scratch, and they taught us who they wanted us to be. And, Farrakhan talks about it. He says, we as Black people didn't create the nigger, the N-word and any of that. That wasn't something we created. It was something that was, created for us. And unfortunately, we continue to walk in that. But, we do need to stop allowing people who do not like us to educate our children. Like, what sense does that make? And I get it. A lot of people have to send their kids to school and all of that, but don't send them to school without nothing. Don't send them to school without knowledge of who they are. Dr. Amos Wilson, he talked about that. Like, we as Black people need knowledge of self. We always take on the image in every way, shape, and form of the oppressor and not operate as who we are at all. And that's because we have no knowledge of self. Our mamas and daddies didn't have knowledge of self. Their mamas and daddies, like, we have lost that. And so we need to get back to realizing who we are, and then everything else will just kind of make sense.
I think one thing that we need to do is we need to go back and truly look at history and what happens and how it's constantly repeating itself. Go back to the Great Depression. The same things that was happening during the Great Depression is happening right now, today. When you talk about the pandemic, when you're talking about wearing the mask, when you're talking about the shortage of money, and I'm talking about the shortage of fiat, where you can go to the store and they say, well, we don't have any coins, we need exact change. All of that has happened in the past. This isn't anything that's new. Yes, it's new to us, but it's nothing new. So my thing is, what happened during that time that was great? It was a transfer of wealth. When they had that pandemic back in 1929, it was a transfer of wealth. I believe right now in 2020, this pandemic is creating a transfer of wealth. No one's really paying attention to it. And that's what I'm trying to tell. Black people, we have to begin to educate ourselves so we can see where the transfer of wealth is, so we can come from nothing to something. Because all it is they're putting their money in a particular area that's going to grow, and it transferred the wealth. So right now, just like in 1990, when you had the internet boom, that was the transfer of wealth. You had new millionaires come out of nowhere all of a sudden. Same thing is happening now. Y'all gonna look up 2 years from now, y'all gonna say, dang, this stock or this company, all of a sudden it created a whole bunch more millionaires. It's just a transfer of wealth. Pay attention to it. And like I said, you could go back, watch documentaries on YouTube about the Great Depression, and you like, man, I feel like I lived during the Great Depression. It's happening today. The same exact thing. Nothing changed. All the way to the point.
I tell you, man, you said a mouthful, youngster. You said that history is repeating itself. That ain't no lie. 1864, they was killing niggas. 1964, they was killing niggas. 2020, they killing niggas. 1864, they ain't want to educate us. 1964, they ain't want to educate us. 2020, they don't want to educate us. And you know what I'm getting sick of is all these black people with all these different guards, and we being disobedient. I ain't being disobedient, but I'm putting up with all this bullshit every day. Hold on, Elvante, hold on. I'm not being disobedient. It's a lot of people out there doing the right damn thing. And at the same time, y'all waiting on a guard to come. Where is this man or person or this being? He been missing in action for 464 years, man. Goddamn, is he peeing around in the Garden of Eden? Is he peeing in the Garden of Eden? Because he need to come on with it, man. Because all this about we ain't gonna get no money, ain't nothing gonna change. Well, yes, guess what? Them young gladiators gonna come in your house and take your money.
The thing is, they have to instill fear so you won't be a part of the wealth transfer. They're trying to keep you where you are. So killing black men in the street in cold blood, just doing that is really, honestly, is instilling the fear so we can be distracted on the transfer of wealth. Because once the wealth transfer happens, you can't be a part of it then. It already happened. You have to be a part of that wealth transfer before it happens. So if I can constantly put on TV African Americans getting killed by police, and then I can distract you to say fight the police and do all that, I can silently transfer this wealth where you can't be a piece of it. And all you can talk about is Black Lives Matter. But you never realize that in the midst of Black Lives Matter, that they are transferring this wealth behind your back and on top of your back. So that's why I say go back and pay attention to history and see what's going on. Because now, if you're going to transfer this wealth, where are you transferring it to? Pay attention. It's a lot of people that's companies now saying they don't want to take your cash because it has COVID-19, so we only take a credit card. Start waking up. Now you're starting to hear more about digital currency. Now all of a sudden your stimulus check is supposed to come on the United States currency, digital currency. So start paying attention to what they're doing. So now they're trying to change over the currency. So now I believe we're at war with China right now. No one really wants to talk about it, but I really truly believe we're at war with China. And the only way you're really supposed to create money is when you're at war. That's when you create the most money. So if we're in a digital currency war with China, why wouldn't I constantly print more money? See, when they put Cash App in your hand and PayPal and all that, they began to transfer this wealth to a digital society that we're not paying attention to. We're just accustomed to it now. So that's my thing. We have to begin to educate ourselves on the past to truly understand where we're moving to in the future.
We in a war with China in the hood. Can you get them beauty supplies off our corners? We in a war with the Chinese in the hood. Can you stop giving them all them loans and all that to open up businesses and give them to my people? You're right, Elvante. We in a war with China.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation right there. But no, absolutely. It is a big, giant wealth transfer happening. I mean, Karl Marx talked about it during the Communist Manifesto. Part of it, talked about how we are distracted by everything from race, religion, and politics. But the real elephant in the room, if you will, that nobody's paying attention to is capitalism. The rich keep getting richer, and they use these tactics to keep everybody else, the 99%, blind to what is actually happening. And Walter, who is the finance guy who's on the show, he talks about that all the time, especially now, Avante, that if we as Black people don't jump on it now, it's probably never going to happen for us. Yeah, the pandemic happened and a lot of people lost their jobs, but there were so many opportunities out there for everybody and black people too. Because as he always says, the stock market don't know what color you are. It don't ask you, you know, if you're black or you're white or whatever. So there's a lot of opportunities, but we are, and we should be concerned about the murder of black people. We definitely should, but we also need to stop and think, okay, well, what else are we missing? Because, you know, you hear people say, oh, we're distracted, and it's not to be disrespectful, like you shouldn't be paying attention to black people being murdered. You should be paying attention to that and then pay attention to what they don't want you to see.
So I have a question. If it wasn't a money thing, why is the IMF, why is the World Banks, why are they all talking about Black Lives Matter? Why is this a big issue? You're talking about the International Money Fund. Like, begin to pay attention to who is playing the game. Why is it all of a sudden the IMF is talking about COVID-19? I feel like they're giving you every sign that you need. It's just a matter of you beginning to see with your ears and not with your eyes, because your eyes are deceiving you of the things that you should be hearing. All you have to do is see with your eyes and hear with your eyes, and then hear. It's powerful, and I feel like a lot of that is there. Just stop. What you see is an illusion. They already moved 10 steps ahead of you. So the thing is, what you're seeing today has already been in the works. So now you need to catch up and see what's next to happen. But you have to hear that. You're not going to be able to see that. You're going to have to be able to hear that. Because the days that we're seeing now all of a sudden they're talking about a second shutdown. And I feel like at the end of the day, there's going to be some more black killings happening in the midst of the second shutdown. So I think we just got to begin to wake up, pay attention, and truly make a mark and understand where we are in this world today.
One, Angela said, Lord, forgive them. They do not know whatever you said. Let me ask you a question then. Because black people been praying to this God forever. And yet we still stuck in neutral. So, I'm just being straight up with you. I don't knock nobody's religion. If you want to believe in what you believe in, then so be it. A lot of people still believe in Dr. King's dream. It takes 64 years for a dream to come true. Shit, little kids dream of going to the NBA. That shit happened at 18 years. But it's been 64 years. We've been fighting for King's dream, and we can't get from point A to point B. We stuck in neutral. And the first thing y'all throw up is what you've been conditioned to throw up. Just keep praying. God gonna make a way. When? And I don't want you devils out there, you devils that get upset when people say something about God. No. You ain't got no Christian ways with some of these comments you be making about black people. You ain't no Christian. You a devil too. So I ain't finna sit here and wait on God to change my condition. I'm gonna get up every morning, I'm gonna change it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna change it. Everything this young brother saying, he got some validity to a lot of things. Demetri is so highly educated. Me, I be on that Crown or them Bud Lights before I get on here. So you don't know what's gonna come up out of my mouth. But I'm gonna just tell you the real. I ain't got time to be praying to no God, because you make sure we got what we need in our neighborhoods, which is a liquor store on one corner and a church on the other one. So as soon as the shit get bad, you want us to lean on one of them too. I'm not doing it no more. Run me my money. Go print some money and get me my money, man.
Well, I mean, I don't want to completely discount God. I wholeheartedly believe in God, but I also believe that God wants us to get up off our ass and go do something too. We rely too much on God, and God is like, I'm waiting on y'all to do something. You know, stop all the damn marching and praying and, you know, swing low, sweet chariot and all that other stuff. But the other thing too is I think people need to ask themselves, especially with Black Lives Matter, shouldn't Black Lives Matter when, you know, black women are disproportionately murdering their babies via abortion. Shouldn't it matter then? And who is at the helm of Black Lives Matter? It's mostly, and well, I would say all Democratic ran. We know that George Soros is a big time Democratic donor. They talk about Black Lives Matter, but then they also tout policies that actually harm Black life. Perfect example, they're putting up Joe Biden, who out of his own mouth has said that he is the author of every major and minor crime bill since 1976 that has wholesale harmed Black life. But those are the same people talk about Black Lives Matter. And so I agree with you, Avante. What's really going on? Why are we being distracted? Like, I don't subscribe to the organization Black Lives Matter at all. I do believe that Black Lives Matter. But, you know, Malcolm X always, he asked us to think about, why is it that white people always want to be involved in our stuff? We don't find that to be weird. Well, why do they always want to hand in our stuff?
So I believe in God wholeheartedly. I believe in him. I trust in him. I move by that. And one major thing we have to understand, the Bible will tell you, you know, faith without works is dead. Point blank, period. Most people, they have the faith, but they're not willing to put in the work. So how can you be rewarded when you're not willing to put in the work? Like, period. I never heard anyone that has been successful say that they did it without putting in any work. And secondly, the Bible also talks about the powers in the tongue. Sometimes we curse ourselves and don't even realize we cursed ourselves because we're so negative and we're ready for the negative attention that we don't see the opportunities that's knocking on our front door. And I feel like this moment in time is an opportunity for a generation to get ahead. But we're so stuck on the negativity of the past that we can't see the current opportunity that's right before us. And to me, COVID-19 has been the biggest blessing that I've ever had in my life. I've made more money during this time than I have ever made before because of the simple fact that there's an opportunity in the midst of crisis. When people are scared, that's when it's the best time to make money. Millionaires will tell you that quick. When people are pulling out the stock market, you need to run into the stock market. When people are running into the stock market, you need to run out of it. Man, the knowledge is there. You just have to go out there and seek it. Seek yourself to be approved, period. And you get the instructions, you just have to follow the instructions that's being given to you.
Well, let me ask y'all a question. You know, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Me, you know, I'm over here, and it's always a pleasure to sit on the panel with two educated black people, one a Democrat, one an independent. I'm the crazy ass black Republican. Okay, so cool. Let me try this a different way. Is God prejudiced?
No, of course
because
not.
Everybody else seemed to be winning except for black people.
I feel like, number one, I disagree that black people aren't winning. I feel like black people have been given a bone and we don't know what to do with it. I feel like a lot of times that, think about it, Section 8 can work both ways. You can be on Section 8 or you can benefit from Section 8. When I say that, think about the person that owns the house of the person that's renting that's on Section 8. They're winning. You don't have to be black or white to own a Section 8 home. We just choose to be on Section 8 rather than own a Section 8 home. That's our fault. That has nothing to do with God not giving you the opportunity. You can have the same opportunity as every white man, but you just have to be educated enough to know how to move. Number one, there can be black schools and white schools. If we open a black school where black people allow their kids to come to our school, hey, that's their choice. It's out there. You have to decide, hey, do I want to send my kid to this white school or black school? You're choosing to fail yourself. A person can't make you fail. You're failing yourself because of the opportunities you are letting pass you by, period.
Angela Thompson told me to have faith. I am. As soon as they give me my money, I'm going to have faith. I'm going to do everything I want to do. My people earned it. Give me my money. I'm not, let me tell y'all something, man. I got faith. I got all that inside of me. But what I ain't got time no more for is the conversations where we just beating around the bush with these people, man. Now I guess I'm sitting in Donovan's seat tonight because all I'm talking about is the money. I mean, I just want the money, man. Bottom line, I want the money. If I got the money, I got health care. If I got the money, I ain't got to worry about no employment. I can go start me a business. If I got the money, I can go buy me a house. I ain't got to be on Section 8. Because it's a whole bunch of us, our people, was in them fields, and they didn't pay them people, man. But you came around here with your folk and you killed Geronimo them, and you went back and gave them casinos. You gave them land and they built casinos. Man, can you give us our chippers, man? Just carve us a little bit out of you got Texas got so much dead land that you ain't doing nothing. When you give us half of Texas and we'll be good. I'd be glad when you legalize weed because I'm gonna have a legalized trap house. I'm not finna play weed, people.
I'm glad you said that. Texas legalized marijuana and people don't even realize that it's been legalized. How is that, right? Because what they did was they put in some language that made you believe that it's not legal. Hemp is marijuana. And in Texas, they don't have the equipment to test to see if it's hemp or marijuana. They told you basically you can grow marijuana. It has to be under a certain potency. They don't have the machine to test it. So how do they know if you're growing marijuana or weed? They know what they're doing. They're making the money silently on the side while we're sitting here trying to figure it out. Sometimes it's not going to be so black and white. Sometimes you're going to have to be able to see between the lines and understand that, hey, marijuana is legal, but you got to be able to pay attention to that.
Well, hemp, Reggie, gas, whatever. I'm going to have a legalized trap house.
And so to that, I wholeheartedly agree that a lot of the things are so intertwined, and it's not made. It's not simple for people to read, but that's by design. I think that we'd be making a big mistake to leave off systemic and institutional racism, especially when it concerns Black people. We know that when marijuana becomes legal everywhere, we gonna be the last to get in. It's going to be the people that's passing the laws that's going to have all these marijuana businesses and all that set up. And so, can we get in? Not until we get our stuff together. We're not going to get in. And as far as somebody said, and Elvante, they were talking to you, they said, what the F did he say? He loves COVID. And I got what he was saying, and I agree with him. I've made quite a bit of money during the pandemic as well. That instead of a lot of people were looking at, oh my God, what am I going to do? Opposed to, okay, what should I be doing? And there were a lot of opportunities out there for people, to make money and start. I know a lot of Black people who have actually started businesses when their job laid them off or whatever happened to their job due to the pandemic. They have started businesses and they're like, it's the best thing that's happened to me, because had I not left my job or my job left me, I probably would have, as Gary said, been on the 40-40 plan, working 40 hours for 40 years until I die, and not ever had this opportunity to get a reset and start my own business. And so he's not saying he loves COVID because, over 200,000 people have died here. It's not saying, he said because there was opportunity economically. But as far as Black people winning.
All right, number one, when that stimulus check came, right? That first stimulus check came, everybody was out here doing whatever they had to do, right? The first thing I did was I went and invested in Bitcoin. Bitcoin at that moment in time was $7,000, all right? Bitcoin now is $10,000. I'm $3,000 up on a gift that was given to me. That's an opportunity that I chose to take. So without COVID, I wouldn't have got that free money that I'll be able to go invest in and make more money off of it. And then also someone said hemp and marijuana is not the same thing. Yes and no. That's like saying a car and a truck isn't the same thing. A vehicle is a vehicle, right? Because technically a person is riding a horse, that's a vehicle, right? Yes, we can be technical on the terms and what a vehicle is and all of that. But at the end of the day, hemp and marijuana are from the same family.
Well, let me say this here. You see I put the comment of Herman Bradford. What job Gary got? Let me dissect that comment for you, homeboy. I ain't worked for no devils in over 15 years. And ain't gonna work for no devils. I'm going to work for myself. See, I ain't finna lay up here and get y'all rich and get y'all wealthy. I'm going to make myself rich and wealthy. So if you're looking for me to work for you, or if you even think that 5-star going to work for y'all, I did that. You treated me like garbage. You underpaid me. You talked a bunch of shit every day. Man, I'm not finna work for you devils no more, man. I will build me a business. And that's what I did. So if you're waiting to see my tax return, I'm Donald Trump's little brother. Fuck you.
Let me say this. Let's see. Daryl, he says, who keeps saying we need to get our stuff together? We just need to do things, make them happen. Yeah, I might agree with your second part, but we do need to get ourselves together. Let's stop. You know what? This is the thing I think is very disturbing for me as Black people. We are in such denial. How the hell do we have our stuff together and we are still roughly 13% of the population since the 1960s? We are still lacking economic wealth. We give 97% of our $1.3 trillion away every year to everybody else, keeping roughly 3% to try to survive. So you tell me, how does that equal us having ourselves together? That doesn't. We don't have ourselves together. We keep going under this lie that all we got to do is vote. We got to vote and make a change. You know, Barack Obama, who we all, for the most part, went and voted for, he sold us this thing called hope and change, but he never told us what hope and change was. Like, what is that? Just go in there and vote, you're going to get hope and change. Okay, well, we're going to get hope and change. Well, how did your hope and change taste? I don't know. They didn't have any season. I don't even know what it was. And so we need to stop lying to ourselves. We are, as Dr. Claude Anderson says, a permanent underclass. That means that we are never, we have probably missed the boat, I hate to say it, but we're probably never going to get past where we are until we at least realize we need to get our stuff together. Like, we're not talking about, as he said, these exceptional Black people who are millionaires and a few billionaires and a couple people in your neighborhood that's driving, a Mercedes and a BMW. We ain't talking about the exceptional Blacks. We're talking about Black people as a whole. Because going back to our original topic, Jonathan Price, who was just murdered, he sounded like he was an exceptional Black guy. He was a motivational speaker. He had his stuff together. That didn't stop police officer from putting bullets into him. So we need to start thinking as a collective, and we do need to get our stuff together.
Lynn said we so spread out over the country, it's difficult to take advantage of spending within our hub. The problem is, Lynn, it don't matter where we at. We ain't got no money. We don't have no wealth. And they made sure we wouldn't have it. How many years is it going to take to catch up to them, Demetri?
232 years, roughly.
232 years. Unless y'all got a goddamn time machine or your last name is Moses, you ain't got 232 years. I'm finna ball out the gym before they put me in that box, and that's what it is. Run me my money.
Yeah, so I mean, we do have a lot of work to do, and I agree. A lot of this is on us. We can change that, but yeah, but think about it. And who was that said that we are so spread out all over the country, it's difficult to take advantage of spending within our hub? Well, white people are spread out all over the country. Hispanics are spread out all over the country. You know what's different between them and us? They don't, it's not even a second thought. When they need to go to the grocery store, they don't go to, everybody else's grocery store. They go to the Mexican grocery store or the Jewish grocery store, the Asian grocery store. And I know we need to get those things, but if we start practicing group economics, then we can start building those things. But the only difference between them and us is our mindset and what we've been conditioned to do. Because think about it, we used to do those things before the civil rights movement took place.
Yeah, and that's when they tricked us. Made us believe that the ice water was colder if we drunk it out of their glass. And they put that wood to us, and we ain't been able to recover since. Elvante?
I'm just here at this point. I'm kind of listening, taking it in. I felt like I spilled the gems that I can spill, because sometimes you can say too much and people won't be able to grasp some of the things, because I feel like Dimitri has said some things that people should have caught and began to write down and say, you know what, that's step number one that I need to go ahead and take. I believe you said some things that, hey, step number one I need to take, because I feel like when you give a person too much overload, they do nothing at all. It's like going into the grocery store. If you didn't already have a plan going in that grocery store, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to leave out of the store with 90% of the things that you really need, because you went in there without a plan. And I think, hey, right now, I feel like sitting here with you two, everybody should have a plan and everybody should understand where they should go, how they should move. And to me, the topic was about the gentleman in Wolfe, Texas, Wolfe City, Texas. But I feel like at the same time, some of the things that you guys brought up is the answer to this. Economic empowerment is the answer to cops killing black individuals. Education is the answer to stop killing black children and young men and women while they're sleeping. There's the answers there. So the answers has already been given to us. We don't have to go and find the answers, because the answers are already there. Now we just have to exercise the knowledge that we have so we can move forward to create new laws, create new positioning for ourselves. And once we do that, you will start seeing the world begin to view us differently, because we view ourselves differently.
Boy, you own it tonight, man. You own it.
Yeah,
you read a book.
Absolutely. No, and to his point, I mean, none of this is new. Marcus Garvey was, talking about this over 100 years ago. The message is the same. It's just that we don't want to follow the message. Like, how many times have we heard black people say, well, we don't have an agenda? There is no black agenda. It's like, that's a lie. There's a whole bunch of black agendas, but we won't just get on board with one of them and just go full steam ahead. Everybody keeps talking about fiat money. Well, Muammar Gaddafi was trying to move away from that, and guess who took him out? Obama was Gaddafi was telling black people, you know what? Let's move away from that dollar. It's worthless. Let's go ahead and start dabbling in gold and all of that. And the Obama administration murdered Gaddafi, causing full-fledged slavery in Libya as we speak. Like, I'm not talking about just a little bit moderate slavery here and there. We talking about full-fledged slavery like back in the day.
So I want us to begin to think why Gaddafi was killed. Gaddafi was killed because of money. The same thing that we're seeing right now happening in America, Gaddafi was ahead of the game. And see, he got killed because he was ahead of the game. That's what we have to, there's stuff that's happening behind closed doors that we're not paying attention to. And they're right in front of us. Most people don't even realize why Gaddafi really got killed. It was about money, how he was transitioning power. But the thing about it was he was transitioning power too early, faster than what they wanted him to, because he knew that if I can change the United States from being the power that holds all the power of money, and I can change that to a digital currency, United States won't have the power that they have. And that's the issue we're having right now with China. And that's why China is trying to put out their digital currency before the United States, because now the dollar is not worth anything. And since the dollar is not worth anything, what they're trying to do now is become the world power. And how you become the world power is through monetary funds. So that's why I say we have to go a little deeper than what we see on the streets of black people being killed by the police. Question, why is it happening at a rapid rate right now and no one's paying attention to it? That it's happening like this, like clockwork, because what's happening is if you was to find out that digital currency was the next big thing and you went and invested in it, you win. So they don't want you to see it. So they're going to fill the news up with black people being killed because that's what they know you're going to pay attention to. So that's what you have to begin to see behind the color lines. What that news is talking about, see what's behind that they're hiding, because there's something behind that that they don't want you to know. But at the same time, you have the power to know it. You just got to know where to find it.
Professional Business Solutions says no disrespect to anyone on the thread, but we cannot go look at Rosewood and Black Wall Street. The times are different. Things have changed drastically. The reason we in the situation we in now is because of what they did to Rosewood and Black Wall Street. When we were getting ahead of the curve, they shut us down. Why we always gotta forget our history? I don't want to know their history. Demetri, for real.
It's not the fact of you not knowing your history. To me, it's not just good enough to know your history. You must know your history and then know how to move different so you won't end up with the same result. Because yeah, we can know our history, but if you just know it and that's all that you know, okay, who cares? But the power
Well,
is knowing your history and
we need to move different now, because you had Negroes in the jungles of Africa selling us to them people and putting up on them ships. And you got Negroes sitting in Congress selling us to them people and putting us in jail.
And see, the power, Demetria might be able to expound on this a little more, but the power of travel will let you know a whole lot. Because what people fail to understand is Europe don't take no responsibility for the slave trade. They take no responsibility for it. And when you go over there, they treat you totally different in Europe than they treat you here. See, United States don't know how to take responsibility. See, the EU said, I'm washing my hands with that. I admitted that we did it, and it's the past now. That's the power of travel. See, a lot of Black people haven't been out of the United States, so they don't understand the power that you really possess in yourself until you begin to walk in another country and they worship you like, wow, you're Black? Oh my God. It's a totally different feeling.
Final thoughts, Ms. Demetri.
Yeah, so final thoughts are we've had a very insightful conversation. I hope that you guys have learned something. Of course, we always learn from you. But yeah, I mean, we need to go about the business of being knowledgeable, getting knowledge, right? And, you know, as I always say, we can do this. We've done it before. Think about Black people right after slavery during Jim Crow, when it was the hardest, like slaves. Black people, when they came out of slavery, had absolutely nothing. Some of them starved to death and were on the verge of starving to death. And they were able to build whole communities, you know, not with just one grocery store. They had grocery stores, hospitals, schools, and all of that. Those things are possible still, but we just need to change our mindset. We also need to stop voting for oppression. You know, I know, you know, Angela, you're a big, you know, time Joe Biden supporter. That's your right. But we got to ask ourselves as Black people, are we voting for somebody that's actually going to help us? We got to stop being sold that false bill of goods that, oh, well, we got to take a hit for the team. Oh, we got to get Trump out of there. I agree he needs to go. I think he's a horrible individual, but we need to get something for that. But regardless of who's in the White House, if we as Black people don't get ourselves together and start following our own agendas, like, we gonna be back on the plantation. I'm gonna tell you right now, I can do yard work, but I don't really like to do it. Okay, so we need to really stop, you know, believing all this nonsense that, you know, somebody's gonna go to the White House and save Black people. Not just like, stop. We got all the tools we need to be successful. And like Elvante said, I mean, hell, there was so much money floating around. In fact, they said for a lot of these PPP loans and all these other things, it's what, almost $300 billion or something like that. That's unclaimed, that people didn't claim. They said, I think only 20%, give or take, of Black businesses went and got that money. So it's like, y'all have a good night.
Final thoughts, Elvante.
First and foremost, I want to thank you, Gary Monroe and Demetria K, for allowing me to come onto your platform and share a little bit of the knowledge that I have. And for the most part, I want everyone to understand that you have a gift, and it's your ability now to make sure that gift is used in this world. No matter what that gift is, know that your gift is your way. Many times we struggle because we're trying to use somebody else's gift to benefit for our future. Regardless of what your thought process is, your gift is good enough and it will make room for you. And it's just a matter of you saying that, hey, this is my gift and I'm going to possess it and I'm going to own this gift. And finally, I just want you guys to know that knowledge is truly power. Go arm yourself with the knowledge. So when the time comes, you can say that you are ready. I never really understood the value of saying why a person is saving money. Saving money isn't necessarily for hard times. Saving money is to be able to move when the opportunity presents itself. Because if you don't have the money when that opportunity presents itself, you might as well say you didn't ever get the opportunity. And most opportunities only come around one time. So with that being said, stay prepared and stay above ground with your knowledge.
Angela Thompson, she watches nightly. She say it's time for Trump to go. When I was speaking to God, you was defending him. So here's my question. Do God make mistakes? Because if he don't make mistakes, he didn't make one putting Trump in office. But I bet you Christians won't own up to that. Maybe he put him in there because we'd be 100 times worse off if Hillary was in there. I didn't trust Hillary as far as I could see her because she was what she was. Now, as far as me, man, you get up and make your own destiny, man. You get up and make you get up and make your own world, your own life. Figure out a way to leave a legacy for your children, for your grandkids, because ain't nobody coming to save us. Ain't no being coming to save us. And that's what it is, man. So, I know y'all want Trump gone. Stop talking about it, get to the voting polls and do what you do. But as long as y'all running up in them old folks' homes, playing with them early ballots, you ain't gonna get him gone. Somebody gonna go to jail. I'm gonna tell you that now. So all this about that man crazy, say stuff, but every time you look up, somebody getting caught. Somebody getting caught. Look like somebody trying to steal the election. So, whether it's Trump or Biden, I don't care. I'm going to still wake up the day after the election, and I still got to live. Does not matter to me. Nothing they do affect me on my level anyway. Now, I got to keep my eyes on Sylvester Turner. That's a totally different story. It is what it is. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to these two intelligent people and the crazy man. We love it. Tomorrow we'll be back at the regular time. And thank you so much, Elvante, for filling in, my brother. You're welcome to come anytime you get ready. I think you need to keep reading them books. And Herman Bradford, you said young blacks put themselves in jail. Shit. Well, I ask you this here, Mr. Bradford, and I'm done. Demetri can close it out. So if I steal a car and your son steal a car, why they give me 40 years and give him probation? Man, don't tell us nothing about no justice system when it comes to black people. You know what it is with that, and y'all comfortable with that. But if you don't find us that money, man, you don't run us that money, them young gladiators gonna come up to Washington to get it. Demetri, shut us down.
I just want you to know Herman's a black man.
He can be whatever he
But
wants.
anyway,
I can't see him from here. But whether he white or black, young blacks put themselves in jail. Now your school to prison pipeline set them up, bro. Your school to prison pipeline. Elvante works in the charter school. You still in the charter school, Elvante?
No, I stopped working at the charter school because I see more money in academic coaching
My God.
than I did sitting.
Need another pandemic.
But
But what I'm saying, you were in the charter school.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, if you want these kids to learn and you want them to excel, if you want them to have some hope, you're going to give them what they need. Stop faking, man. These folk ain't giving it to them. And if you don't want to give it to them, your worst nightmare, Miss Demetra, is a kid that's armed with a diploma, but has a subpar education because they got to eat regardless.
You ain't lying. So anyway, you guys, we are out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Please have a great rest of your evening and stay safe out there. The COVID is still on the loose. See y'all tomorrow.
All right.